My life is defined by holes. Holes can be understood literally, topologically, or metaphorically. Either way, they represent a transgression, an act of violence against what otherwise is solid and impenetrable. Holes imply penetration, facilitate escape, or create connections. I first learned about the power of holes as a child, reading Peter Newell's Hole Book, which was first published in 1908, and which starts with the following child-friendly lines. Tom Potts was fooling with a gun. Such follies should not be. When bang, the pesky thing went off most unexpectedly. The bullet then literally tears a hole through each page of the book, causing a terrifying trail of destruction, setting free mice and bees, breaking branches, knocking off hats, feeding chickens, destroying fishing poles, kites, and so on. This destruction ends only when the bullet finally strikes the armor belt of icing on a newlywed's cake and flattens out. And this was lucky for Tom Potts, the book concludes, since otherwise the bullet, and I quote, might have gone clean round the world and killed him on the spot. As I grew older, people would ask me if I was happy. I would look at them with a quizzical expression and say, am I playing basketball? Am I playing guitar? Or I would respond by asking a rhetorical question that I can't possibly illustrate in this context. Am I having sex? It is easy to see how holes were at the center of all my life's important and significant and formative activities. And by the way, representing basketball in this triptych of influential holes is Vince Carter at the slam dunk contest that took place in Oakland, California in the year 2000. I should mention that my body, like all others, has numerous holes, but only the system of eating and excreting really satisfies the mathematical or topological criteria for understanding the body as a torus, something that is homeomorphic to the Cartesian product of two circles, something with a single hole like a donut. I mentioned this because just before the fall semester started, a surgeon cut several additional holes into my body. Through one of them, as you can see in this simulation, a camera was inserted into my retropubic space. This is the extraperitoneal space between the pubic symphysis and the urinary bladder. This was done so that a robot could then remove my cancerous prostate. I never actually saw the robot. We were never properly introduced, but I'm told that it had 4 arms inserted into small holes that the surgeon had cut for that purpose. As I said, there was a 5th hole for the camera and a 6th hole for some purpose unknown to me. Unfortunately, the urethra, a tubular element that is part of the eating, excreting, body as torus hole, runs right through the prostate, so it too was cut when the prostate was removed, and then it needed to be reconnected to the bladder so that the continuity of the donut hole could be reestablished. In my research here at Cornell, I think about other holes. For example, holes in floors that provide spatial connections, but also create connections for fire and smoke to spread, and that therefore need to be treated with care. I made a calculator to help architects determine what kind of holes can be placed in floors. In my teaching at Cornell, I talk about holes in the walls that enclose rooms. These holes, sometimes called doors, not only make entry possible, but also enable escape in the event of fire. I ask my students to design bad egress schemes so that they might learn what good egress looks like. A few years ago, when Milstein Hall was being designed, I noticed really bad egress from the crit room under the dome, right behind this auditorium, where Cornell and its architects inexplicably only had a single legal means of egress for a room with potentially hundreds of occupants. When Cornell refused to make any changes in the design, I filed a complaint, first with the City of Ithaca Building Department, which was unsuccessful, and then with the New York State Division of Code Enforcement and Administration, where I spoke against the plan at a hearing that took place in Syracuse, New York. As a result of this complaint, the hearing board ruled in my favor, and Cornell ultimately was forced to demolish a glass and concrete wall in the crit room, thereby creating a hole that facilitates egress in the event of fire. In other words, they were forced to create a second means of egress into this very auditorium. In my spare time, I record music. I recently recorded a poem about holes. In the second verse, there is a reference to a soul escaping through a hole. So I thought I would use this as an excuse to recite the first two verses of the poem. Feel free to join in if you know the words. Here it goes. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking. How? Everybody's joking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Blow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choked. He's so mad, but he won't give up that easy, no. He won't have it. He knows his whole back's to this rope. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to his mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again. Yo, this whole rhapsody better go capture the moment and hope it don't pass him. His soul's escaping through this hole that is gaping. This world is mine for the taking. Make me king. As we move toward a new world order, a normal life is boring, but superstardom's close to postmortem. It only grows harder. Homie grows hotter. He blows them all over. These hoes is all on him. Coast to coast shows he's known as a globetrotter. Lonely roads, God only knows he's grown farther from home. He's no father. He goes home and barely knows his own daughter. But hold your nose, cause here goes the cold water. These hoes don't want him no more. He's cold product. They moved on to the next schmo who flows. He knows dove and sold nada, so the soap opera is told and unfolds. I suppose it's old, partner, but the beat goes on. Da-da-dum, da-dum, da-da.